Today I'm joined by Louise Boylan, who teaches maths, applied maths and physics at the Institute of Education in Dublin and has been a maths educator for over 20 years. Louise, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me, David.
Okay, just a really general question first. How do you study maths?
You don't study maths, David. You practice maths. Okay, I say to my students, it's like learning the piano. You just have to practice. And you just do as many questions as you can, a variety of questions. Ideally, make sure you've got solutions. So you'll have students at this stage of the year and they've done every question in their textbook, every exam paper. They'll be asking their teachers for more mock papers and they just need to keep practicing. But now they can use AI, which, you know, the big bad AI.
Oh, wait, whoa.
They can use AI I know, how dare I. But it's a really good use for this. So they can put in a couple of old, say, trigonometry questions and ask whatever AI tool they're using, please make similar questions with different numbers and the solutions. So they will literally never run out of maths questions to practice. Yeah. They can also go back and practice questions they've done before. You know, I say to them, it's not an Agatha Christie, it's not a murder mystery. If you know the answer is 10, it doesn't matter. Can you do it again? Can you get the same answer without checking back your notes?
Yeah, you probably will disagree with this, but some people say that maths, particularly honours maths, takes up a huge amount of time for people in terms of their studying, which is, I suppose, partly why there's the extra points in the CAO.
There are the extra points there. I call them compensation points in some ways. But, you know, it's very individual for students. I've had students who get a H1 in every exam and they really don't study that much. Maths is a bit like that. It's a bit like being good at art or being good at music, because some people just have it. Yeah. If you do have to work hard at it, it does take up a lot of time. It definitely does, yeah. Okay. And plus there's not a whole lot of learning in it. It is all practice and knowing what to do, not learning and reciting facts.
Yeah, okay. So because it's about maths, it's very important to be clued in on your time management. It's very important to be clued in on the marking structure for the papers, but just on a very basic level, what is on each paper?
Right, so on paper 1 we have a lot of algebra, we've got calculus, complex numbers, patterns, sequence and series, something called induction. Paper 2 is a lot more visual, it's geometry, trigonometry, probability, statistics. It's really important though that while that's kind of the agreed topics or the standard topics can drift. So it's important when students come out of their paper 1 that they don't go, that's it, I never have to do calculus again. They can walk into paper 2 and there'll be a little bit of calculus there, which is not too bad because you've studied it all for the Friday, but it's worse if it happens the other way. Like a year or two ago, there was a probability question on paper 1 and that really threw students because they weren't expecting probability until after the weekend. And it is split across a weekend for the maths. Okay. But in terms of timing, the exam paper is in 2 halves. It's not got multiple sections like other subjects. It's just both of them have the same structure. So we've section A is worth half of the marks and they've to answer 5 questions out of 6. And they are what we call the short questions. They're not very short though. They're usually about 2 A4 pages each. I would suggest to the students take about 12 minutes for each of those. So that's 5 12s, that's 1 hour. Your paper 2 then is 3 questions, 3 long questions. They're worth 50 marks each. And I would say take 20 minutes for each of those. That's another hour. And that gives you an hour left over to read it at the start, check at the end, go back and do a thing that you couldn't do. What's really important for students though is to not get bogged down in a question. If they're working away and they're getting stuck and it's going on too long and they're not getting the answer, just leave it, walk away. Because the marks tend to be for the starts of the questions, not the hard bits at the end.
Okay, and the really important thing is to at least try to answer every question.
Hugely important. There's no marks for blanks. No marks for blanks. And sometimes, you know, if a question is overpitched, and they have done it in the past and it's overpitched, and students read it and they panic and they do nothing, when they look at the marking scheme after the fact, they'd be kicking themselves because there'd be things like if you wrote down a relevant formula, you might get marks. If you wrote down the formula and put numbers in, you might get marks. If you acknowledge what the variables are in the question, so say it's about volume of a cone. So if you wrote down radius equals height equals, and this is the formula, put the numbers in, you could well be on half of the marks there. So it's really important that they read the question, write down the information that they have, write down what they're looking for, and then if they can progress from there, then they're really going to achieve quite well, right? But as long as they start, it shows that they've read the question, they've understood what they're being asked, they've understood the information they have, and they've started.
Yeah.
And so they'll pick up marks for that.
So you get a bit of credit for just making the effort.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for just engaging with the question.
Okay. In terms of the choice that you're offered and in deciding what to choose, I mean, I suppose it depends on what question appeals to you.
Yeah. So in our subject, it's not like other subjects where when you go in, question 1 is this, question 2 is this. Ours, the topics are all muddled up. So question 1 could be a mix of algebra and calculus, and question 2 might be something else, but also have algebra in there. So they can't kind of predetermine going, well, I'm definitely not going to do question 1. You could in the past, but not since they changed the course.
And everything's intermingled.
Everything is intermingled. So they can't leave any topics out when they're revising. In terms of, because some of them do say, how am I going to know? I'd say to them, you'll know. You'll open the exam paper, you'll take a flick through, and you'll see one question, and you'll go, nope. I'm not doing that one. No way. And you'll just get a feeling straight away from the question.
Okay, so it's better to make your choice by the one you want to avoid.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, because you can only leave out one question in each section anyway. So it's not like there's a lot of deliberating that you can do. You don't have time for it. So the best thing to do is open it up and get going.
Okay. Yeah. Is there a danger of getting overwhelmed by something like maths? Because it can be quite complex when you see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially at this stage of the year when they're going, oh my God, I only have 4 weeks, and how am I going to do it? So the best thing to do, and I know it's easy for me to say, is don't get overwhelmed. But how to not get overwhelmed is to break it down into its topics. Start with algebra, start with trigonometry, big topics, break those down into little smaller bits, and just little by little, bit by bit, just build up your skills, practice your questions, and make sure you've those big topics really nailed.
So what are the big topics that you need?
Like algebra, calculus, trigonometry, and then your probability and statistics. They would be the big ones. Then you have smaller topics within there, but they rely on your knowledge of those ones to begin with.
Okay, and anything you can demonstrate showing that you do actually have a knowledge is great. Now, you've noticed the examiners are making an effort to examine things that haven't been asked in a while.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
does that give students any clues?
Well, not so much any clues, but it keeps everyone on their toes. The last couple of years we've seen a pattern of them putting the odd little question here and there throughout the exam paper that had never been asked before. And it really is to try and send the message out to us as the educators and the students. Don't leave anything out. Everything in the syllabus is examinable. Don't think, oh, sure, that never comes up, as we can kind of tend to fall into those patterns. So like last year, for example, there was a foreign exchange question, which would ordinarily be a junior cert topic. It's not that it's particularly hard. It's the Leaving Cert has never really examined it at higher level, and they had one on last year. And that kind of confused a few students because they're like, oh, okay. You haven't seen that in a while,
Okay, so study everything.
Yes.
Answer everything.
Yes.
And give yourself time at the end of the exam to go back over and check.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. And just take a chance. Some students are very reluctant if they look at a question and they panic and they would rather do nothing than do something. And I'm trying to say, just do something. Get something down on the paper, try something, because you'll be surprised when you look at the marking scheme. Years ago, there was a question that was really hard, and it was just to draw a graph. But if you just drew the axes, if you drew a horizontal and vertical line, you got a chunk of marks.
Oh, I could even do that.
We could all do that,
Brilliant. Yeah.
So, and that's reassuring for them. Try something, do something.
And the same applies for ordinary level as well, doesn't
it? Yeah. For ordinary level as well, they're even more generous with those at the start. Put down the form, pick the right formula, put the numbers in, you'd be half the marks there. So yeah, they are.
Okay. I'm convinced. Louise Boylan, maths teacher, thank you so much for coming in and giving us that advice.